Welcome to the Occult Rejects. This episode, we got a very special guest back. We're always excited to have this man here. But before we get to Joey P, we're going to introduce the Headless Giant. What is going on, sir? How are you? What is up?
How you doing? I'm the Headless Giant. You can find me on YouTube and X and on Instagram as well at the Headless Giant Podcast. And if you have any sort of strange or occult / mystical stories that you want to send them to the Headless Giant Podcast at gmail.com, and we will read those on Thursdays. On Sundays in the morning, we've got the trialogues with Ethan and Ricardo, which is always fun. Last time we were talking about exile and how we should bring it back. And on Mondays, I'm now doing a show with Eros Up about alchemy. So definitely check that out. It's going to be a fun time. I'm getting all the equipment. It's going to be great.
Ooh, literal alchemy, huh?
He's going to burn his house.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
We're going to be able to watch that live. It's going to be fun.
Dude.
I'm in a rental, you know? I'm going to treat it like I rented it.
Yeah. Just don't blow your face up. You're all good, right?
Yeah.
Definitely check out that new show, especially with Eros. Awesome chick too. She's pretty good at what she does. It's nice to see them actually working together. It should be pretty good shit. And the Thursday show, please, if you have any stories, please send them in and give an address, and I will send you free stickers. So fucking make it happen. And something I did want to mention, so I make sure I stick to it also, is that after this event that I'm going to this weekend, I don't think have any coming up, or if they are, they're down the road. But after that, hopefully the Monday after Halloween or whatever, or the week after that, we should in November. Me and Headless, I think we're going to start, and I think on Tuesdays, we're going to go through page by page 777 by Aleister Crowley. So check that out. That should be a very lengthy thing to do, but yeah, we're gonna risk it. We're gonna try it. And you're muted again, Headless. You're muted.
Sorry, very much integrated with alchemy as well. So these two things go together very well, and you'll be able to see that coming up. So definitely stay tuned.
Yes, sir. And now that's enough out of me. But real quick, check out the Arkansas Paranormal Expo if you're interested. I will be there. Salt Lake, Little Rock. Jesus Christ, that's Utah. Little Rock, Arkansas. I'll be there for 2 days. And 2 floors. If you go look at the older ones that has happened, you will see this place is fucking packed, and there's a lot of people there. There should be hundreds of people there. There'll be vendors outside. There's gonna be fucking food trucks too. So, and if you're really into it, and if you actually think somebody is hearing you at 2 p.m. on Saturday, there will be a Bigfoot call fucking contest. So that should be really entertaining. So,
dude, I love that.
Check that out. That should be worth it on its own for $10. So
it'd be all fun and games until one shows up walking out of the woods and it was a mating call.
Yeah, fucking tears my ass apart. Yeah, you think I'm fake, motherfucker?
Oh man.
Yeah. But so check that out. And here we are with Joey P from Library of the Untold. What is going on, sir? How are you? Please let everybody know what up and what's going on.
Well, I run the show Library of the Untold, and it's become kind of a habit now. Every time I fall into a new rabbit hole, I start production on a new video, and I come on here with you guys to get it out of my system and let it air out a little bit before I actually finalize the script.
I love it. With that.
And it's been working out so far so good. Unlike Headless, though, please do not send me your paranormal stories. I don't want them. Stop doing it. All right. No
Send them
more.
To us.
But I have a new rabbit hole for you gentlemen today that involves DMT, aliens, shamanism, and a little bit of be not afraid action, from the Bible. But before we jump into that, I was wondering if you guys would indulge me in playing a little game.
Yes.
And we could possibly, I know there's only, I invite your audience to play the game as well.
Yes.
So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to read 8 accounts firsthand from people who are giving their accounts to either one of 2 options. These will be from Dr. Rick Strassman's DMT research trials from the 90s.
Yo, that Spirit Molecule movie is insane. I
Or
watched
the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it'll be from Dr. John Mack's abduction research from Harvard, also in the 90s, because these guys were doing their research at the same time and then crossed notes later. And it's amazing synchronicity set of stories that happened with these guys, because at one point they met up and they got their notes mixed up and they didn't know whose was whose, because the reports are so similar. Inspiring this little game of mine. Did I hear a weird noise? Are you haunted?
Yeah. I don't know where that's coming from.
Sounds like music. My
it should be
thing was
playing.
muted, so
We're opening the portals now, guys.
That is so weird. I don't even know where it's coming from. I can't shut it off. Hold on.
Still going. I'll turn my shit down.
Is this, did you push a media thing inside the thing by accident, Headless?
Find the blazers.
No, right?
Focus.
Yo, I literally have no idea where this is coming.
And become the
that's your
That's
exit
outro.
music, isn't it?
Yeah, but where the
Yeah.
fuck is that coming? I have nothing playing.
That's weird.
That's why I was like, yo, are you sure it's not? Yo, this is fucking. Yo, I have nothing open on my screen.
That's hilarious.
Let me check.
It's not for me.
Oh my god, you know what it was? Holy
I don't
shit.
have any tabs open.
All right, no, I'll edit that all out. I'm so sorry. That was so fucking wild.
It sounded like a fly was in there.
Huh? No, that was an Avenged Sevenfold song with me overdubbing some shit on it.
Oh,
I had my Sony Vegas open and I was editing a show, and like I had a show that was like 3 hours long, and I put that at the end of it, and I must have never pushed stop on my Sony Vegas, so it was just running with nothing there,
yeah.
and just happened to now hit that part. That's the ending.
I see. Oh my god.
That's why I'm checking my windows. It was a program, not a fucking window.
This is a good example of why I
Right,
tell
it's
people
alive.
to stop sending me emails about their paranormal shit, because yeah, a good percentage of paranormal shit is crazy, and but usually there's a tab open in the background. Or
Hitchhikers.
Yes. All right. So continue that whole spiel again. And I even fucked up the chat. It's for kids. People can't even comment. Jesus Christ.
oh, where's my comments at?
I'm going in there. I'm going to fix it.
Man, how are they gonna play the game if they can't?
I
comment?
know. Give me a second.
I'm opening my YouTube right now.
This is wild. I'm a total fucking mess today.
I'm coming for you guys. I'm gonna save you from the commentlessness.
All right, here we go. You know it's not made for kids. Why the fuck was yeah, StreamYard does that. If I do it from StreamYard, every once in a while, that shit's all of a sudden people are telling me I can't comment. I'm like, why? Because it's made for kids. I didn't fucking choose that.
Oh, okay. This is certainly not gonna be made for kids.
Yeah, no. Well, one, I can't monetize that either. What the fuck do I want to say? At least I can, and it just cuts. It just fucks certain things up. I would not want it to be for kids, regardless. Just a pain in the ass.
Right.
All right, so continue again, sir. I'm very sorry.
All right. So out of these studies that I have been looking at lately, I have noticed that between the two case reports of either volunteers on DMT or psychological research of abductees, the similarities between the DMT experience and the abduction experience are absolutely profound. The reason we think that they're different experiences is because of pop culture. So before we jump into this, case in point is that a very small percentage of abduction scenarios are by people who want to go public. Those are the only ones that we hear about. And those are the ones they put on Discovery Channel, History Channel. They make movies out of them, right? These are the people who want to be seen. I'm not saying that they're fake, but I'm saying that those are the ones who want to be seen, are the ones that we get to see. That has transformed the abduction experience into a simulacra, basically, of the stereotypical alien abduction experience that we have today. However, Dr. John Mack, a renowned Harvard psychologist, made the observations about his clients. Hey, there's a comment. What's up, Vanessa? That these are the people who don't want to come forward and they need help. And they give him a psychiatric evaluation first and all that. And from his professional point of view, he makes it clear to the readers that these anonymous people have reoccurring events that happen to them at night. And not only can he not explain it, but these people are not what you would consider crazy. They pass all of the boxes and check all the marks to be sane, and they're just looking for help. So before we go into this little game, I want everybody to keep in mind that throw out the window what you've heard about alien abduction, because we're going to read from the people who didn't want to be on TV, you know? Now, I don't have to give you a big spiel about the other half of this because with Dr. Rick Strassman's studies, we don't have red flags coming up out of nowhere from our programming. We know that DMT is very mysterious, and this was a volunteer trial. So what we read, the accounts in this particular case, are pretty much scientifically legitimate. This is what people experience. You know what I'm saying? But the viewer and the two of you will have to choose after each one if it came from a DMT study, I'm doing the wrong book, or an abduction case with Dr. John Mack. Are you gentlemen ready?
Hell yeah.
I'm ready.
What's up, young blood? All right. Case number 1, Jeremiah. He says, I felt like an infant to them. A machine in the center of the room had a round conduit writhing, not like a snake, but in a technical manner. It felt like it was reprogramming me. There was a human person standing on a console observing results from the machine about my brain. I am not speaking in metaphors, and I am not hallucinating. It's too proximal. They don't return you where you left off, but to where things have gone since their work got done. What do you think, guys?
To me, it would sound like that's an abduction, but I'm just going to go with DMT because see if it's a trick.
Headless.
Yeah, I got to go with the opposite of my initial impression. I got to say DMT too.
You guys might be on to me because these are cherry picks, but they're good examples. Jeremiah is in Dr. Rick Strassman's DMT research studies. All right. Number 2, Isabella. When I first sense the being's presence in the room, I hear these tones and the air becomes charged. There is an earthquake in my body as it warms up and the energy reaches the top of my head and is concentrated there. It's as if my cells are coming apart. They made it energy with their hands. Their hands can change structure. A female being touched my head and I was on the other side. I felt whole. What do you guys think?
I'm going to say alien abduction, even. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go alien abduction, but clearly that is a very similar effect to like a shamanic.
Yes. Thank you.
Shamanic self-destruction or something.
Yo, so many. This is just my opinion and like stuff I was trying to say from Joey before. Like from my experience from magic and like the experience and visions and just certain things, I could easily see how people spin alien abduction or get confused, maybe, I don't know, or alien shit. So when this started to sound like there was a couple of things you hit that would just, touched me. So I was like, I guarantee you this is an alien abduction because it sounds like something else.
Well, that case is from a patient of Dr. John Mack, and she is an abductee. You guys are good. This ain't fair. All right. Philip, number 3, says, they took me above a strange landscape, like Earth, but not. There were telescopes and microwave dishes or water towers, things with antenna. The sun was different colors than ours. What do you guys think?
If you didn't say the sun, I would have gone with UFO, but you said the sun looked different, so I got to go DMT.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it, Ellis. I'll go with alien. Fuck it.
I like the mix up there. Switching it up a little bit. That is a Dr. Rick Strassman case study report on DMT.
I should have.
Congratulations, Headless.
I like that, Headless. That was a good detective work right there.
Yeah.
I like
investigative reporting.
No,
yeah.
Could have been alien.
All right, number 4. Catherine recalls her experience by saying, it feels like home. the source. It's not bounded by any particular dimension, universe, or place and time. It's the energy that surrounds everything and makes life do whatever it's supposed to do. It gives energy its energy. There is a knowledge so powerful we can be aware of our full potential. But if we were to face what we truly are, the trauma would be so enormous that the body would disintegrate. There is nothing I can conceive of that they didn't understand.
I'm going to think maybe DMT. Sounds like a banging DMT trip.
It would tastefully done. Yeah. What do you say, buddy?
Well, I'm going to go with a different reasoning this time. So again, it's that disintegration element that pops up with the same idea. So I'm going to go UFO.
Oh,
love it. All right. That was a case study from Dr. John.
Oh,
Nash,
fuck.
and she was an abductee. And Headless is an investigative journalist at this point, man. He cuts right through me.
I shit you not, because like to me it even sounds like somebody crossing the abyss, and I'm like, that should be Alien again, but I was like, I can't just keep going with that because even sometimes it sounds like the same thing. So I was like, let me give that one a shot.
Right.
But my first thought was Alien, and I was like, nah.
What astounds me about this is that some of these alien abduction reports, they don't talk about entities and beings as much as they do what happened to them. And it's sometimes the opposite in both cases. I mean, I picked out 8 examples, and but I mean, I could have picked out 20. I could have done a whole episode of this like silliness, you know. But what up, Tara? She's got a scary shirt on too. You guys don't have to be alone in your scary t-shirts. All right. Number 5. Headless is in the lead by 2, bro. All right. Chris says they used their hands to feel my eyes and my face. They were recognizing me and identifying me. There were 3 beings. Despite having physical form, rays were coming out of and back into their bodies. They were reptilian humanoids, trying to make me understand with gestures, intending me to look inside their bodies. I saw and understood reproduction, what it's like before birth, the passage into the body. Easy one, right? What do you guys say?
Fuck, maybe. I'm going to say that was DMT.
All right.
Because of the rays. He mentioned
the
the rays coming out of their faces. Again, like there are certain
aliens
qualities.
Have phasers too.
That's true, but there are certain qualities to the trip environment, like changing color of the sun, the rays. Those are some usual suspects right there.
Yeah, there's some archetypes happening.
I'm gonna go with the alien abduction.
All right. This was a volunteer of Dr. Rick Strassman in the DMT.
Like the only way I could catch up is if he fucks up some point.
Yeah, I think
I'm like strategically trying to pick, regardless of what I even think.
Headless is an abductee. He's not telling us about it.
Yeah, right. What the
right.
fuck, Headless?
Number 6.
He got stories for days for his own mailbag, and he won't give them up.
All right. Rex says, one of them began reassuring me because their machinery was initially very sinister. I felt like dying when a female with an elongated head accompanied me, bringing on deep relaxation and tranquility. The rest began pouring information into me, but it was so intense I couldn't bear it. She wanted to show me how to use the machines to communicate with her through the device, but I couldn't figure it out. I felt wet stuff as they were dripping something on my body. They wanted me to join them and stay with them, and I was tempted. Even after all the wet stuff, that's weird. But what do you guys think of Rex, who is a carpenter, by the way?
Oh, shit. King Carpenter.
It explains him wanting to stay with these beings after they drip the wet stuff on them. Carpenters are weird. All of them.
Yo, what do you think?
No, you got to go first. I've been going first this whole time.
Yeah.
We're splitting hairs at this point, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This one is I would go with alien abduction again. You know, I feel like it's, I don't know. No, you know what? DMT. I'm going to go with it.
In the corner of my eye, as soon as I said female with an elongated head, I saw Headless Giant make up his mind. Like I could feel it.
Yeah, well,
Right.
because it's like, all right, at that point, then I would have to acknowledge that this person actually saw somebody with an elongated skull, and that's real. Or did he hallucinate that? That's what I started thinking too. So that's why I switched to DMT, because I was just saying alien abduction, because that's
All
what it
right.
sounds like, but I do think it really is a DMT one.
All right. Both agreed on DMT? All right. This was brought to you by the pleasant folks over at Dr. Rick Strassman's laboratories. And it was DMT. He was tripping balls. All right.
You know what made up my mind?
What was that?
It was the elongated skull.
I know.
It was ancestral memory. Ancestral memory. This person had
Yeah.
interactions with these elongated skull peoples and had some sort of a flashback to that.
What is fascinating about that is this dude, it was a carpenter, and there's a bunch in the Dr. Rick Strassman. These are like soccer moms, dude. They ain't never heard of weird skulls. They don't. And the shit that they talk about is straight occult in many different forms. And they had no idea at the time, especially in the 90s. This was before the internet. So even if they were referencing anything occult, it had to be a dormant memory, you know? All right, we got a Karen now. This is a certified Karen. She says, I no longer fear death. They peel off the layers and the lessons start happening. I'm not going to be annihilated by my own pain anymore. Pain is synonymous with lesson. Where I was, there's just pure existence and no barriers.
Oh, I think
What
I
do we
actually
think of Karen?
I think I remember that, actually, specifically that line from the DMT molecule. Yeah, I'm gonna go with DMT.
All right.
I'm going alien abduction. It's
Awesome.
the same motif. It's the same motif.
I'm still
She
gonna
split up into
lose. I'm still
pieces.
gonna lose. Still gonna lose even if he's wrong. Oh yeah.
That was an alien abduction.
Oh, Jesus
studied
Christ.
by,
I really
Dr.
thought that
John
fucking lady saying something about there is nothing was like a that was
So,
something DMT.
in Karen's case, she had a lot of trauma in her life. And whenever the aliens, whenever they were done with her, they apparently explained shit to her in such a way that seems like DMT, which is continuously forcing me into the paradigm that these are exactly the same thing. The spoiler alert, we have one more, but spoiler alert. Dr. Gallimore, the guy who's getting the torch from Rick Strassman, the new doctor on the new cat on the block, is talking about people with a lot of stress. Their endogenous DMT tends to trigger during their REM sleep. So, you know what I'm saying, right? All right, last one is Sarah. Sarah says, they were glad to see me, indicating prior contact with me before. They wanted to learn about my physical body. If this was like Jessica Alba, I could see why they are all in on all that obsession. But priorities. They said humans exist on many levels. They were collecting blood and heart data and appreciated my doing it for them. The equipment used were like sticks with teardrops coming out. I wanted to be a bridge for them because I always knew we weren't alone in the universe. That is Sarah's account. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I don't even care anymore.
All right. Well, then.
No, I'm joking. I like this story, but it's like, obviously I can't tell the difference.
You can't. That's, dude.
That was the
telling
point, correct? Yeah. Fuck. I mean, I would think DMT, but it sounds like an alien. I'll go DMT.
Sticks in the eyes, DMT.
Sticks in the eyes. All right. This was a clinical trial under DMT with Rick Strassman. And man, you guys did better than I did, because when I was putting these notes together,
Did you get confused which one was?
Yeah, I was getting all mixed up because I got all these like little tabs and shit in here or whatever. And then I have to like look at my computer while I'm typing. I'd be like, and then elongated skulls and machinery. I'm like, you know, there's so many similarities there. And one of the creepiest ones, dude, is so And so this is Dr. Gallimore's newest book. He's a neuroscience guy. And this is what fucked me up so bad, was there's an experience in here where there's these insect like machines making reality. Like that's their job, is to create reality. And then after like he was talking to them, they thought he was cool. And then they sent him upstairs to this higher realm where there's this woman. He could only see like from the belly up of this woman, and her hair was blue and green and her skin was gold, right? Very specific trip report. That's DMT. Dude, so 3 years ago, this was my trip report. And I can try to angle this right, but I know you can't read it or see it, but if you look at the pictures there, those little insect machine elf guys right there, that's the guys I was talking to. And then they liked me enough, I guess, they sent me upstairs to this woman who was gold. And it says in my notes, dude, that she had gold skin. And I cannot do this right. And in my notes here, 3 years ago, I wrote that her hair was blue and green and she had gold skin. This is the exact same recording that was played for me as was played for this person. Because for those to be isolated incidents, that was too much for me. The coincidence is off the hinges with that. So I started thinking about Graham Hancock talking about how they seem to play back some kind of like archetypal memory that is a recording for you in both abduction cases, and because in the abduction cases they have screen memories, right? And right. He said that there's like a reason for it, and that they have like this gigantic catalog, Akashic thing of information of civilizations that have come and gone, and they extract pieces of it and they play those things back to us whenever we break through. And that it's almost more abstract than would be, you know, if you think about it, like DMT, like a technology from aliens, right? That's like the leading theory. But also one of the leading theories was that in your brain, they're saying that it's like a dream that leaks out and that it makes you dream for 10 minutes while you're awake. What is fucking nuts about this is, so in Gallimore's new MRI research shit, he finally got the funding to get it out of the EEG machines and into like heavy duty machinery where they're scanning the brain while these people are on DMT. Dude, the part of your brain that dreams is completely silent, completely dormant. And in fact, it recesses into through your consciousness more than it would in the waking state when you're on DMT. What does light up in your brain under DMT is your fucking visual cortex, where you're experiencing objective reality and or a memory. So DMT does not light up your dream centers or your imagination centers or your daydreaming centers. They can see those. It lights up the objective centers of something you're either seeing now or saw once upon a time. And there's no gray area about it. This is what freaks me out about these things not only being common archetypes between everybody going to the same place, but everybody talking about it feels like they're witnessing a recording playback that was meant just for them. So
right. I was going to point out the familiarity that these DMT beings have with the person. And if there's something about memory being a part of this, that familiarity could be some other thing that's happening, you know?
Yeah. That made me wonder about the Bardo, you know, this supposed place between lives, you know, while we're reincarnating. There's in DMT, you have the waiting room, right? In shamanic traditions, they have the same thing. And so many times in my DMT trips, I've run into old friends where I forget about all of this and I'm just back home. It's not even a sense of, oh, deja vu, like I've been here before. This is a completely, oh, I woke up into actual objective reality And all of that was a dream. All of Joey was a dream. And now this is my objective reality where I'm with my old friends again and all this. And if that's not like a dormant memory, or I wouldn't even say dormant memory, because in DMT, it's lighting up with the part of the brain that you have objective memories of. So is this possibly like the shamans say? Is it ancestors, you know?
Well, I think there's a part of this is the objective feeling of euphoria that goes along with all of these things. Like, you don't immediately start to fall into this sort of state of, doom and gloom, it seems, when it comes to DMT, at least a lot less than maybe shrooms or some other chemical. So that familiarity and the feeling of coming home, I think that's far more cathartic than some other hallucinogens out there.
Yeah, I'll never do LSD again, dude. It's just too long and it's too much. But it's interesting that you say that, because there's more within Gabor Moore's studies that he goes as far as to compare DMT to other hallucinogens, which is a must, because his hypothesis is that DMT is not a hallucinogen. So the hypothesis for it, before I talk about the actual scientific research done, is that shrooms, peyote, ibogaine, these things, they morph your reality and they make reality really weird. Basically, they augment your reality and everything is strange. You might have epiphanies, right? But you're still you, and your consciousness is just really twisted. With DMT, it doesn't augment your reality. You're just in a different reality now, and you're sober, and you're coherent. And it's not like changing the station. So like whenever we have an old TV with a dial, there's static between the stations. So you're clear, then you have a moment of static, and then you have another clear station, right? And he's talking about hallucinogens let some of that static in to your main waking state. Whereas with DMT, it switches the channel like a satellite, like with a remote control, and you're just immediately. Now there's some static in between, of course, but that's why they call it blasting off, you know? So under that hypothesis, he started looking at some of the anomalies that other hallucinogens just don't share. For example, the tolerance threshold. What's up, Romany Rivers? She's my favorite, guys. Be nice to her. She's the best. Everything has a tolerance. Coffee has a tolerance. LSD has it. So if you have LSD today, mushrooms today, tomorrow you are not going to be as subject to it. So in our brain, the blood-brain barrier keeps hallucinogens from getting in. There's a 5-HT2A receptor that absorbs the drug, any drug, and then gets into your brain, into your bloodstream, and then you feel the effects of that drug, right? So after you have that drug, it'll block
in
it
addition
out.
to the liver, right? So the liver has to be shut down for you to take the ayahuasca and get the DMT in your system. That's why they have the MAO inhibitor, I believe, that causes the liver to not work anymore. But yeah, this stuff gets filtered out very efficiently by the body.
Very quickly, right? But DMT won't form a tolerance. You can do it back to back, hour to hour, and it will never ever, it always bonds to the 5-HT2A receptor every single time. Here's where it gets fucking scary. If people don't appreciate the DMT experience or use it too much, they can get locked out by these entities. They'll tell them, we're not spending any more time on you, and it has no effect on them. So he got these guys who were locked out, right? And he gave them DMT and the research for tolerance. The DMT still bonded efficiently to the 5-HT2A receptor, like there was no tolerance, but the dude was sitting in the chair looking at him like nothing happened. So the molecule is quite literally deciding who gets in. And that is biologically impossible. You can't have that.
I love that. Some of these beings go, I'm not your monkey. This is not your circus. And then you can't trip anymore. It's hilarious. There's a lot of people that have
about
that.
3 months. because I was experience hunting, you know. But
Right.
and what you said about the liver too is that's another thing. Mescaline, if you want to get high off mescaline, you got to go to the peyote plant. You want to get high off psilocybin, you got to go to the mushrooms, right? Every plant has its active ingredient. That's not the case with DMT. DMT is literally everywhere. It's in our liver produces it, our lungs produce it, and that's why if you hyperventilate for like 30 minutes straight and then hold on the exhale, you'll get a little taste of that DMT. You know, in fact, I mean, literally, you can taste it in the back of your tongue because it comes up from all the hyperventilating and shit, and you'll have a little trip, you know?
Wow. I did not know that. Well, this is definitely not for children, but
Come on.
That could
Breathing is, though.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's for everybody.
Yeah, it helps.
It
you never
helps.
played the pass out game when you were younger, huh?
With a couple ladies, but
You know what I mean. Serious hunter.
if you ever want to kick it off on a date,
No.
tell your date, be like, I've been practicing Wim Hof. I can hold my breath for like 3 minutes now. So, like, what's up?
Yep.
So wait, this episode's not made for children, right? All right.
Nope. Heavy implications.
Right. But dude, I recommend this dude's new book because for me, I picked it up off the shelf because okay, a new DMT book, gotta throw it on the shelf, right? And I had no idea that all of my knowledge of DMT is from the 90s, from Rick Strassman. And Dr. Gallimore has been carrying that torch, and he's doing a damn good job about it. And towards the end of the book, he drops a hypothesis about what these entities are, who they are. And I think it's fascinating. And the example he uses is the opposite of the Kardashev scale. Have you heard of this Kardashev scale or model?
I have not.
So the Kardashev, you'll know it when you hear it. A civilization has 3 steps. Type 1 is planetary, type 2 is stellar, and type 3 is galactic, right? Like the Beastie Boys. And he says by some kind of like common sense logic, this is what civilizations would do. They'd expand out. Whereas Gallimore kind of steps in and he says it a different way. I'll tell you the way I see it is that's not what intelligent beings would do. They wouldn't go out waving flags in the sky and saying, we have conquered, look at us. That's not what really, truly intelligent people do. That's what power-hungry psychopaths do. You know, think about it, right? And he's talking about an intelligent civilization would probably have an opposite than a Kardashev scale. They would go within, and they would shrink down smaller and smaller because that's also safest, right? So the way he phrases it, and now this isn't his model, and I'll tell you whose it is. It's a 1998 British cosmologist, John Barrow, who says the Kardashev model is stupid. He says, I propose a type 3 minus model where type 3 can basically perform chemistry, manipulate molecules, and past type 4 minus civilizations, they'd be able to manipulate and reorganize the most elementary particles such as quarks and leptons until we reach finally the culmination of the Barrow scale, type omega minus civilizations, capable of manipulating and controlling the fundamental structure of space-time itself. If you want power, you wouldn't go out to the moon and to the next star. You would go into the causal, because the subatomic realm is what causes. It's what creates our reality. If there was a place to explore, that's it, baby. And he proposes in the book,
Joey,
you know,
not just that, but if these alien beings are in some way psychic and linked to like astral projection and other things, going inside would be the most efficient way to get from planet to planet.
Yeah.
You know, because they'd have this machinery created on this level where you're talking about on the DMT plane. There's all this machinery.
Right.
What does it do? Can you manipulate? can you use it? Is there some sort of a link between that and, you know, these chariots of the gods that they talk about? Because, you know,
Right.
all of these gods in the ancient stories are sort of like accompanied by these ships or whatever. Well, what if you could create those ships out of your mind and then travel across
Right.
the universe in that sort of a, you know, psychic container?
Right. And knowing that consciousness itself would be infinite, like what she just said, death is a 0 point. And Itzhak Bentov made clear that rest and infinite motion are essentially the same thing. If you look at it in physics, it's like that's a loop, you know. But the subatomic realm, dude, I mean, there's machines in the subatomic realm that we can witness with mainstream science. There are machines that build our DNA that are strikingly similar to what you're talking about with the old God technology and what abduction people witness from aliens, and you know, it goes without saying, people who do DMT. And look at these old temples and the Hindu temples with this electromagnetic machinery that moves and is based off cymatics. Dude, some of the machinery, and I'm using quotes here, in those Hindu temples look like mitochondria and shit. So I think that they too, they were on their way to go within. And if we're getting really out there, where did some of these civilizations go when they disappeared? The Mayans, the Aztec, they disappeared without a trace, and we call it a mystery. What if they did what the Egyptians claimed to do, which was shrink their not shrink their consciousness down. The Egyptians said that they would, their hieroglyphics say this, by the way, that they would transfer their consciousness down into what's the lysoma, basically a virus, a viral format, and then they would fire themselves out through the king's chamber and into Draco, into the stars, to be with the Netter where they belonged. What's crazy about that is they would leave one half of their virus self on Earth to be entangled with their star beingness, and then they would be able to affect Earth from the stars. This also sounds like a technology. So
Right.
that continues to push me in the direction of DMT entities might be a species of personhood who are more ancient than the concept of form in our universe. Pure sentience that takes on a form through archetypes when filtered through our psyche.
Well, there is the theory that plasma is a form of consciousness, because
Mhm.
what we see in zero G environments is when you've got dusty plasma, it starts to form different shapes in zero G using this dust as sort of like a vector. So all of these, you know, massive nebulas and stuff could actually be like conscious matter. And
Yeah.
so it's a different way of looking at things, but I believe I forget which scientist asked, but he asked, "Is the sun conscious?"
Rupert Sheldrake.
Rupert Sheldrake,
Yeah.
right? So in that model, you know, consciousness could be a lot bigger or wider or, you know,
Right.
all encompassing, leaving us the question of, are we consciousness having a human experience, or
Right.
are we, you know, plasma
Right.
being thought up in different clouds around us?
Right. The plasma thing is a great point, though. And shout out to Dana Kipple, who sent me her monstrous new book. Now I gotta fucking read this thing before she comes on the show. This is bullshit. But so if you guys haven't had Dana Kipple on the show yet, hit her up. I'll give you your number or whatever.
Yeah. No, tell her I'll have her on. Yeah, tell her to get in touch with me.
But
Hey.
she does a good job. She
Yeah.
definitely brings a good feminine aspect to science, which is desperately needed right now. And anytime, for real. But she talks about plasma exclusively, like that's all she talks about. And so plasma is 99% of the universe. If there's an anomaly in the universe, it's material. It's less than 1%. And we
Right.
blame dark matter on all these anomalies or whatever. So, but plasma, like Headless said, it creates its own dust. And listen to that statement. Creates its own dust. They say that as if it's just like, oh, it's an anomaly, But yeah, tell me about that. Is that part of that?
No, I was just saying it's alchemy. Like it's literally
Yeah.
alchemy in the cosmos, right?
Dude, that's the fall. I think that's the fall of Sophia. So in the electric universe cosmology, planets don't get caught by a sun and then start orbiting. They're birthed by the sun. Tell me that's not plasma creating its own dust. And then we compare that to the Gnostic story of Sophia. She gave birth to an imperfect universe that was made of mineral. Dude, I mean, that's the same damn story. So what if the Gnostic story of Sophia is something that is happening all around us right now constantly? And that's why DMT does what it does, is it bypasses your
it's consciousness without form.
Consciousness without
like
form.
You were right, just like what you were talking about these beings as is consciousness without form.
Right.
That's why the magic is.
Right. And they have to take on a form for us to even be able to handle it. And the Bible is full of stories like H.P. Lovecraft where people freak out because they make the mistake of asking, let me see your true form. And then they're like, right. Dude, you don't want this. And I've done that on DMT before, and it was really bad. It was a bad situation, dude. But the same thing with it's lesser so in the alien abduction case, but in those cases, I don't think people stop to actually ask that question: is this your true form? But if you ask the shamanic people, like the pyro, about it, they'll talk about a species of little people that aren't actually little people. They don't reveal their true form. So anthropologists were asking them, they're like, okay, do they take on the form? Do they choose a form according to our memories so that we can recognize them? And then the shamans are like, no, you create their form. They have nothing to do with that. Which is fascinating because in The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley, he describes his peyote trip. And he was a brilliant dude way before science could back him up. But he's referenced in Gallimore's new book because of how accurate his observations were before MRI. He hypothesized that the brain itself is a reducing valve. So it takes in information and then it reduces it down to what we need for survival. And then he hypothesized, well, if that's the case, then these entities, he didn't do DMT, but he's talking about, because he did a lot of mescaline, these entities are probably completely formless ions from the beginning of the universe. And then we need a buffer. We'll freak out. Like Lovecraftian fucking protagonists will gouge our eyes out to make it stop. And
how can we perceive formlessness?
Right. So he talks about he said they're as real as He said they're as real as marsupials, which is weird, but
what the maybe they're just
more context on well, okay, so here's these biblical accounts, dude. In Daniel 10:9-5, Daniel had the balls to lift his eyes to an angel only to find that its body was like beryl, which is like liquid fire, and his face like the breaking of lightning, and no strength remained in me. He wanted to see its true form, dude. In Judges 13, Manoah and his crew, they fall to their faces, assuming, surely we will die now that we have seen the face of God. To which the being was like, no, I just work here. In Isaiah 6:1-5, John and John in Revelation 22, they both say they collapse in fear and worship at the sight of what must be God, but are quickly corrected by the angel who says, you must not do that. I am a fellow servant. So just like alien abductions, all the way to Whitley Strieber, to every DMT machine elf ever, they're quick to tell you, no, I just work here, dude. I'm in the food chain, like just like you. And that's enormously telling psychologically, because people, they think they're seeing God. Their brain, if it was some kind of placebo, which I hesitate to use that word, or some kind of suggestion or whatever, if they think they're seeing God because they're overwhelmed, their memory centers would back that up. but these beings objective to them say, no, I just work here, that I'm just there's no way that any of us could perceive God, and there's levels to this. It's very strange.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about the divide between polytheism and monotheism. You know, like there's this idea within the monotheist concept. Like they ask, "Are you the one God?" Well, you know, I'm not that. So
right.
But then you've got the polytheistic societies that sort of accept that all of these things are divine in their own ways, right? So
right. I've got some pushback on this, but in my studies, from what I've seen, cultures that are polytheistic still have a main one and only God.
There's henotheism, right? But that's you know, again, you get closer and closer to the origin point of the polytheists that it comes to animism, you know, sort of the universe is alive. And that's what sort of gives rise to these other divine forces.
Right. And it's like supposedly that aliveness of the universe is what God is. And the rest of these so-called gods are just they're forces of nature personified by these different cultures, you know. But whenever I got a Christian mowing me down talking about, hey, you're talking about false idols, all this, you need to stop it. I quickly bring up that all these cultures, the Egyptians, for example, having this pantheon of gods and then a one main God is no different than Christianity having a God and then archangels and then seraphim. And then we are talking about the same thing. And I just can't, there's no such thing as false idols. And unless you consider idolatry in itself to be that sin, in which case that's not the argument here. But whenever a Christian says you're following a false idol, they don't realize that it's the same as mixing the word Jehovah with Yahweh. All they're doing is getting mixed up in the semantics of it, you know. So people are quick to think that they see God unless it's a swarm of eyeballs and alien elves that are building reality or whatever. But I think it's all the same, you know. And also I'll stretch that out a little bit.
Here's a weird one. I got so what if Abraham asked to see behind it and then he realized it was formless, and so that's why you're not allowed to have any idols before you, is because it's not the thing in front of you, it's the thing behind that thing, and you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. So when he said don't, you know, burn down that golden calf or whatever, he was like, yeah, we can't personify these things that easily. Yeah,
they're formless, like you were just talking about.
Right. It almost makes you wonder if Abraham, when he went to go chop his son's balls off, if a different entity was like, well, don't listen to that guy. Don't do that.
That's exactly what happened. He was going to sacrifice his son, and then the goat appeared out of the thing, and he heard a voice from the Lord that said, don't do that.
It's always the Lord. But that's the point, is it's not always the Lord, you know. In the Gnostic tradition, they say that Moses was talking to someone else when he got those tablets written. But it kind of begs the question between good and evil, this gray area of what if that's us? What if we create good and evil because we have preferences? Right. So like, when I was a kid, there was a cat had a fishing lure stuck in its mouth, and I had to help him because he was like stuck it was a discarded string. And I like pinned him down with my knees, started pulling it out. He's scratching at me. He thought I was attacking him, dude. In that moment, that cat thought I was evil because I was trying to help him, you know. There's a lot of alien abduction cases and DMT reports that beg that same question. And what seems like cosmic indifference or even evil sometimes is just misunderstood. So I wonder if these beings that build our reality and maintain it are not angels or demons, but whenever we interpret their activity and their behavior towards us, we either like it or we don't like it, and we give them a name.
That goes into what you were describing was the shamanic dismemberment, right? Because people can reject the shamanic dismemberment and then have all these side effects and symptoms, or they accept it, they move through the process and come back together in the end and have some sort of a boon or something that's attached to them because of it.
Yeah.
So there's two different ways of experiencing the same thing because of the nature of how it's being presented. Again, it's being presented by formless beings.
Right.
So your perception of them makes a lot of the difference there.
I think all of the difference, dude, because I mean, we live in duality and we live in a world of good and bad and comfortable, not comfortable. Speaking of that, would we be able to pull up an image of the wounded man petroglyph or cave painting? I think it's called. Where do I got that at? Maybe I can just show a picture of it. By the way, if anybody is interested, this one I haven't mentioned, Inner Path to Outer Space, is all about shamanism, but it dives deep into Gnosticism and everything is kind of being under the same umbrella, which is what I like to see. But the Wounded Man is an example of a cave painting of the total brutality, dude, of shamanism. And it makes me think, dude, like, and this, nothing against anyone, all right, in the spiritual community, but everyone's real quick to want to be called a healer and a star seed, and a lot of them I don't think understand the sacrifice that shamanism did not come at birth. I mean, some of them are born, it's different, but in order to get to that point, to be a shaman or a healer or a seer, they went through the most horrible sacrifices of testing that, and if they survived that, then they were free, because after they went through all that, it could be basically assumed that they no longer fear death and they no longer have attachments. You know what I mean? What's up, Nick?
I just keep saying, I mean, that's what I think magic is. You're gonna have to have like it.
Tell me more about the ties there with magic, though. Because I don't dive into any of that. I would like to know more about it.
No, just from my experiences with fucking with magic and crossing the abyss, that's been my thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that there is like an actual almost death aspect,
right,
to what's happening, because I do think you are separating your soul from your body, or at least that's what I seem to be thinking is happening. Yeah, you know, there's always visions that I have. That's a repetitive thing too. It's like a series of things that happen and a series of feelings every time it happens.
Really? How often?
I've only done it like 4 times.
Oh, shit, damn. Is this an elaborate ritual, or is this something that happens to you spontaneously?
I'll do a meditation to do it. I mean, I could probably like not even so much even do a meditation anymore. All I have to do is like close my eyes and focus. And if I see the pin dot, I can already just grab onto it. But it's just if I want to fucking practice to let it be, you know, go to the eclipse and do everything else.
Yeah.
It's a very put it, I mean, I haven't done it in a few years because it's to me it's a huge decision if you realize what you're doing.
Right.
And I will be completely honest, due to the fact that I love what I'm doing right now, I don't know if I want to take a risk at dying and not coming back.
Yeah.
To keep this, you know, I mean, just even other stuff. I like my iPhone too much. I like vagina too much. You know, who wants to give all that up? Because that's
many things. Yeah. They get in the way.
That's the stuff that you're gonna have to be okay with. Because, like, in my opinion, again, if you're going to practice magic, there is a chance you may not come back. So you have to be willing to give all that up to even get
right. Right. I think that perfectly that embraces the shamanic tradition. You had to have no attachments, because that goes into the body mutilation, because after your body has been completely dismembered and then you realize without those organs that you are still sentient and aware, well, you no longer have those attachments. Now you got no skin in the game. You can heal people. You can see. There's certain things that make you safe. You know, you don't have those biases anymore. And but so I've had the Book of Ja for like a hot minute now, that ancient Gnostic manuscript. But recently I also just got all 3 books of Solomon, which, I mean, this was just to have it, because the diagrams in the Book of Ja and the sigils in the Book of Solomon are the same damn. They're electrical diagrams, dude. And perhaps magic is a word that we use for a misunderstood technology that involves bending the natural electricity of our ether using these electrical diagrams, you know, the plasma. It's more, so just a more subtle electricity. Have you seen the Book of Jah at all?
No.
I'm not.
You've seen Solomon though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little new to me.
So whenever Jesus's disciples were talking about, hey, when we die, we want to hook it up with you at the after party. And so we don't want to get stuck on earth or whatever. Jesus, now this is highly controversial shit because Christians will throw a damn fit about this. But this is the original Coptic and the translations are below it. But it's filled with diagrams just like this. And these diagrams basically they're pictures of God's 12 emanations and then the emanations of those 12 which become the archons, and he talks about them as maps like this. So when I saw that, I even have like electrician buddies who were like, dude, that's electrical diagrams, because even like some of the other diagrams in here, they're all a little bit different and they change gradually throughout, right? So that's, first of all, how weird is it that we got Jesus talking about the bardo and how to get past the archons after death? And then, because that's like Tibetan Book of the Dead shit. Now, look at this, which I know you're familiar with, but for any viewers, I mean, so that is a lot more to our recent times. You know, this is from the Lesser Key of Solomon, and this looks a lot like those diagrams, and these are by definition sigils. But at what point do we stop worrying about all these words and definitions and say that this is all the same? This is all the same stuff. And
well, Joey, I can't help but notice the similarity between all of these DMT trips and how much machinery is happening on the other side there.
right.
So if these sigils and stuff are ways of accessing those machines on the other side, that would make a lot of sense. You
Right,
know?
like a language
you're talking about
for the machine.
right.
Yeah. See, it's very
programs or chips, stuff like
Right.
that. Like you're making the chip in reality for this thing on the spirit side to
Right.
use it.
I had a DMT trip where they were building these like skyscrapers. It looked like hives or whatever. And whenever I asked them, like, hey, what's going on here? They were like, we're building your reality based on what you think about and what you say and do. And I was like, is it that direct? And they're like, it doesn't seem like it to you, but over here it is, but we're working our asses off. And I looked, and they were using these machines to absorb what some kind of pre-existent thought or whatever process. And then they would radiate that energy out of these little machines and into the hive, and the hives would like jiggle. And I was like, is this objective what's happening right now? And they were like, no, this is just a way for you to understand it. And then I was like, what was the main thing that scared me about it was not scared me about it, but I was like, a way for me to understand it. I was like, help me out deeper. And one of these little elf guys, he was like a carpet. You see the top of the carpet, the colors and the patterns, and that's your reality. But if you flip the carpet over to the ugly side with all the stitching and stuff, it's kind of messy under there. That part's absolutely necessary for there to be a top of the carpet. He's like, we build the underside of the carpet and we share the same reality. So we are quite literally on the other side. And that's where finally it came to that one main spot that I'm making this next episode about, where they're like, we're not, you call us angels if you like what we build. You call us demons if you don't like what we build. Why would you ever have thoughts of despair? And dude, it blew me away, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
powerful.
hilarious.
I agree with that.
Right.
That is wild.
Because we got to keep ourselves in check.
So
That's why I say we always need a bad guy.
Huh?
I got
You always
something
need
for
bad
you
guy.
on that beehive.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Nick.
Oh no,
There's
I'm
kind
good.
of a delay.
So like all we need is we always need a bad guy somewhere, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
The necessary
Great.
villain.
Let me share my screen here. So this is a omphalos stone, right? And so what you were saying about the beehive really kind of got to me. If you look at the shape of it, it's kind of looking like a beehive with all the
Yeah.
bees sort of crawling on top of it. So this represents the stone that Kronos' wife handed him instead of Zeus. And so he ate this stone and instead of Zeus because it was wrapped in the thing. Well, Zeus was able to get away and get older at Mount Ida. So this was the last of the Olympian gods that he thought he had consumed from his wife because he didn't want any of them to replace him. And then where he barfed it up was in Delphi, right? So that's sort of representational of Zeus. And what they also say is that this sort of beehive cult serviced the oracle at Delphi, and they were called the Melissae.
Wow.
Melissae, like honey. And so I get the impression that there's some sort of a linguistic or hive mind intelligence happening because of that whole milieu. And they were into the kykeon. So the kykeon is actually a hallucinogenic wine that they would take.
So this was Greece?
Yeah, Oracle at Delphi.
No shit. So that not only does that look like a beehive, dude, but have you seen the beehive cave painting from like a bajillion years ago? I wish I had like predictive measures to have these pictures on me or whatever, but there's a cave painting that it's a bee man. It's like a man, but he's like a bee. He's got mushrooms growing out of him. It's one of these things where it breaks our hearts that we can't get in the minds of these truly, truly ancient people,
Right.
like the real deal shamans. I mean, we have pretty good representations of them around today, like the Dogon and, but dude, it's got big black eyes, like a lot of these ancient bee people, insect people, the ant people, the Wanjinda in Australia, the Dogon. They always describe these beings as having large black insect-like eyes. And so I get kind of like mad about, I see certain people talk about the Greys, and debunkers will be like, the Greys exist in our culture today because of Betty and Barney Hill. They watched a TV show that had a gray alien on it. That's it. That's the guy right there. Look at that shit. Now, this is a negative. So
Look at that shit.
look at it. Look, right? Now, this is a negative, right? So, or just they drew it in reverse or whatever, but the eyes are black, dude. And I mean, dude, that looks just like the ant people. So it looks a lot like the Wanjinda of Australia too. Now, these guys were tripping their balls off, dude. There's no doubt about it.
I think the ant people are actually the bee people.
Right. I think that all works, dude. But in DMT trips, there's a hive mind, and all alien abduction victims talk about the Greys. None of them are individuals. They're all in unison moving. They're like ants. They're like a hive mind.
You know what, though? I do think that it's quite possible Aleister Crowley might have had an influence on the Grey image.
See, that's what I keep trying to. I'm
not trying to like pin that, whatever, for like shock value or like, now we need a bag.
No, you're right. 'Cause he summoned Lamb, and it was Jason Pargin doing a TikTok, and he was like, "What's crazy about the Greys is that it came from nothing. It came from Betty and Barney Hill. It never existed before that." I'm like, dude. Yeah, so Aleister Crowley, not only Betty and Barney Hill weren't even the first abductees in the modern time. Antonio Boas was abducted far before them. But yeah, before them, you have the lamb archetype.
Yeah.
That was a gray. And then before all of this, you have fairies with flaky gray skin and large black eyes. That's in the 1600s, dude. And then before that, of course, we have these ant people, Wangina, these bee people, you know. This archetype goes back as long as we can remember. And we got these armchair experts out here who literally do the reporting off of pop culture, like the top. They skim off the very top of our living simulacra, and they do all the research from what pop culture offers without ever getting their hands dirty in the uncomfortable aspects of the occult. And it drives me nuts because these are smart people who are just working with a very limited amount of information.
I even think like Whitley Strieber pushing that image.
Right.
That whole
Right. What do you think of him, dude?
see again him. I mean, I read a little bit of, but I'm sure the movie was not correct.
Oh no, Christopher Walken was brilliant in that shit.
But to me, I was like, see again, this feels like somebody has a magical experience and they're selling it as aliens. That's just to me.
I think something happened to Whitley, and I
he
think
had an experience. I just think he's
Right.
said it in a sellable way.
Yeah, I think he made.
I
up
got a
his
hot
mind.
take on Whitley.
Let's hear.
I think he's a mind control victim.
Oh, okay. How so?
I think he was taken in and programmed, and all those stories and stuff, they were put there.
That's interesting. Like some MK Ultra shit, huh?
Yeah.
That almost makes me wonder if a lot of alien abduction scenarios are some kind of black ops. I mean, we know that the CIA has people in the UFO community just to make things confusing. I mean, how far are they willing to go? Because
what if they're talking?
If they're
the
talking,
people who brainwashed Whitley, they wanted a certain perception of aliens out there in the public. This is where we get the idea of anal probing and all the rest of this stuff.
right?
That's Whitley stuff, right? So
Right.
they wanted that perception out there in the public.
Right.
And I think that's sort of the perception then became
Right.
these little gray aliens that suck you up. Like we were just talking about how similar this is to a DMT experience, but you know, it takes everybody by surprise because that's our perception. The Whitley Strieber experience.
You know, that's the first experience where they got anal probing is Whitley Strieber's.
Yeah.
See, now again, like I'm
That's
not
the
trying
one.
to be silly with this, but I always go back to I think the eyeball and stuff like that all has to do with the magical experience, and the asshole has the same muscle the pupil has to fucking close.
I did not know that.
You have the sphincter muscle inside your eyeball. That's what spins your fucking eye, your pupil closed. It's the same thing that's in your ass.
That's
so
fascinating.
could you be just fucking twisted and be like, yeah, we'll stick something in the ass to give reference to sphincter muscle. I don't know.
It's
Only say magic's in the butt. I think that's along those lines, and maybe he's talking about the pupil, which makes it even sound sicker if you say it like that.
right. Well, it is called the brown eye, the all-seeing brown eye, after all, right? Well, I have a theory. I have a theory about eyeballs.
Okay.
So obviously the abductions, we covered that, in DMT. I mean, look at Alex Gray. He even jokes around himself. He's like, because I put eyeballs on everything, is what he says, because he paints and he puts eyeball. And these reports, these biblical accounts, Ezekiel, you name it. It's eyeballs. They're all eyes within wheels and stuff like that. It's always eyes. Sometimes this floating swarm of feathered eyes, dude. And it's also in cave paintings. It's also in all this shit. So if you were a formless being, like Headless is talking about, like we're both talking about here, like if you're truly formless and you need to take on some kind of form to be understood by this communion, you're not going to choose an ear or a leg or whatever, anything in the world, a toaster. Like there's no body part that represents sentience like an eyeball does. you'll notice that it's the opposite with mouths. DMT abductions, even in abductions when there's a physical being there, supposedly the mouth is said to be almost non-existent. But this is a communication taking place, yet they're still not utilizing the mouth archetype. I think that's because if you show a person an ear, it's just abstract. It doesn't make any sense. But if they see an eye, they immediately they know they're being watched. They know that this person is alive. Then there's sentience here. And I think it's just the most simple archetype of a form to take on to be able to communicate whatever it is you're trying to say. Because once they get that out of the way, then they're ready to give you the message, whatever it is, the 10 Commandments or the DMT download, or the tell the children that the adults are corrupting the earth because they misunderstood technology. Like they always hit you with the message right after that big eye zaps you or whatever gets in your head.
Right. Well, at the same time too, the eyes, our eyes, are what give them form. Right.
Yeah.
So we're the ones projecting their form on them. So it's a two-way street on that.
Goes both ways. And that's like what Plato said. He said that light doesn't just go in the eye emits a clear light.
Up to around 6 feet.
About 6 feet.
Yeah. I've even had like I can't remember this guy. I wanted to get him on my show, but like he even goes into the whole thing. It's like you have what's out here, and then you have even the experience of what your eyeballs are projecting out. And it's like, what's actually real?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Like, you can get really deep when you start thinking about all that shit.
Right. But it is a two-way street. And I think
is there a relationship? Like, that's what I was trying to get at, you know,
Right.
and like what's actually real and what's not.
Right. And there's no bigger message from all 3 or 4 of these subjects. If we say alien abduction, DMT experience, biblical accounts, and shamanism, it always boils down to there's no such thing as things. There are only relationships. Everything you witness is just a relationship. Bees don't exist. Flowers don't exist. That's one organism, you know, and then we separate it into categories ourselves, you know.
Parmenides, he wrote that in his treatise on nature. It was a poem that started ontology, the study of being.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 500 BC. And so everybody tried to disprove him and say, no, this guy's crazy. Clearly things exist.
Right. But now.
Nope. This is where you get Zeno's paradox from. Zeno was his student.
Okay.
So Zeno's paradox says if you fire an arrow and it goes halfway to the target, and then goes another halfway to the target, and then goes another halfway to the target, it never actually reaches the target.
Everything can be broken down into fractals just forever. And there's no right. And there's always going to be a space there.
Right. There is, like, all the stuff we're seeing it's kind of an illusion. So when you take it from that perspective, it's all one thing. Yeah. There's no separation between anything.
I wonder if, and what Romany is saying here is about language is not the best communicator, which is ironic considering all 3 of our gigs here. But I wonder if our reality was completely different before language. You know, even Plato was mad at books. He was like, no one's going to remember anything anymore. You know, I wonder if
that's where polytheism comes in.
Okay.
Because everything had to be memorized, and you had these vast networks of associations that were all tying back everything to the gods. So that was their mnemonic device. Everything they knew about nature and everything all related directly back to these gods, and having all of these relationships in their head made it so much easier to remember everything else. We have these competitions today where people have these, you know, vast memory competitions where they're just fed all this data and random words, and they can recall it like a photograph, you know, 60 years later.
Wow.
It's the same like using the mnemonics.
Yeah. In an old ass, the Iliad, right? The Iliad is really weird phonetically, because I mean, first of all, they taught it to everyone like it was a religion in Greece, supposedly.
It was a religion.
Right. It's like the first story, right? It's not ancient, I know that, but it's like the first written thing. And when it's weird because no one in the Iliad is making decisions. That is so alien to our storytelling today. So if you read the Iliad, no one's choosing to do stuff. The gods are using humans as puppets, and they do as they're told based in the instinct, and they're always constantly communicating with the gods, who are, by the way, right there in front of them. So it makes you wonder if language or something along the lines it detached us from that that unification with communion. Because I mean, hell, before that we used to talk to statues which were said to be alive, and Sumerians always had statues in the house, and they wouldn't do shit without asking the statue first, because there's gods in the statues. And then one day, globally, and this is recorded all over the world by disconnected societies who never talk to each other, all of the gods left the statues all at once and abandoned humanity. This was so I got a video called Esoteriception that breaks down the entire history of how all these poems came to be, like, why God have you forsaken me? That comes from these Mesopotamian tales, Egyptian. All the gods left the statues all at once, and they were gone all of a sudden. But look what happened after that. We started building these incredible temples and shit. I don't think the gods abandoned us. I think they moved in. I think they moved into us. They found a new home, but they needed something to happen, and in order for them to be able to move in. I don't know what that was. Maybe an augmentation of DNA or something like that, but that's a whole different rabbit hole. But in the distant past, we were close with beings, and now we're not.
Joey, if you look at the precession of the equinox, every 2,600 years or so, the precession of the equinox takes us into a new era. So,
Right.
in the very Old Testament, you've got the age of the ram, and then you've got the age of the bull. And like we're in the age of Pisces now. Every, few thousand years, there seems to be a shift in how the planet processes these conscious energies, right? And so that sort of, we see that as an expression through these different religions and these ideas that become popular, these empires that rise and fall. It sort of all comes back to the astral idea that maybe all of these things are connected in a very, harmonic way that we just don't really realize yet.
I'm glad you said that, because I always tend to forget about the astrological aspect of these things, because I'm kind of late to the game. But the universe has electromagnetic properties to it that are bombarding us constantly. To say that that's not affecting us down to the genome would be a mistake on I think on anybody's part. And I wonder if some plasmatic event once upon a time, like even a supernova from, like, what is it, Cygnus X2 is a binary star system that's just blasting us with radiation all the time. At one point, according to like Ashananda, that Buddhist lady, at one point, like, we're like, our sun is like, quit it. What's the camera doing? Quit it. The sun is like on a sine wave, right? And we have like this galactic center staring down the barrel of like Cygnus X2. And every like 12,000 years, it's in line with it. So the last time we were in line with it was 40,000 years ago, which is roughly when they date those first cave paintings. Like one day we were just like, oh, we can project outward and make things.
Absolutely.
This
40,000 years ago was
No, go ahead.
40,000 years ago was a really monumental time in a lot of places. Like you just saw this explosion of creativity, and you saw, the start of the megaliths and people actually making tools and all the rest of this stuff. And it was, huge migrations too.
Right.
I mean, these are people who didn't have anything, and they're migrating halfway across a continent. That's amazing.
Yeah. Something got turned on, dude. Something clicked, you know. And
Who's guiding them? Have you ever heard of the Dream Giants?
no.
Dude. Okay, so there's this tribe in I believe Indonesia.
Okay.
And what they have is a tribal deity they call the Dream Giants. And there was this anthropologist that went down there to study them. And the Dream Giants would tell them where to plant. The Dream Giants would tell them, what types of sacrifices and offerings to make to the land before chopping things down. And then the anthropologists started having messages from the Dream Giants. And since lying was such a taboo thing in their society, everybody believes you when you're talking about the orders from the Dream Giants. And so the anthropologists started giving them messages from the Dream Giants that were appearing to him in his dreams.
Was he fucking with them or was he legit? Like,
He was legit.
and he wrote, so it was tampering, it was getting into him too. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Because of his proximity to this tribe. Something was
Right.
there. Something was communicating with them.
Do you think that's a system of belief or do you think it's literally a proximity thing?
I mean, it could be. I mean, like these beings might have a general proximity where they like to hang out at. I mean, you
Right.
see that all. You've got the syncretism between all these gods and goddesses on completely different continents.
Right. Jane
that's a lot
Goodall
of-
spent so much time with apes that she could speak their language. Yeah.
That's wild.
Right?
That's where, okay. So where can I learn more about Dream Giants? Where is that from?
If you look up Dream Giants, it should
Dream
pop
Giants,
up.
okay.
Dream
All right.
Giants, Southeast Asia. I believe it was
Okay.
Southeast Asia. Could have been the Pygmies. But the
Dude, I'm
Pygmies
gonna-
have a bunch of weird practices too, dude. There's
Yeah.
so much magic happening in anthropology. If you look up ethnographies with magic in it, they've got this huge list where all these anthropologists went to these really ancient tribes seeing some awesome stuff.
Right.
And magicians don't even know about it.
They need to crossbreed, dude. Everybody needs to stop being so compartmentalized, dude. We need
Right.
the Bigfoot people to get together with the magic people to get together with the abductees and the
We're
soccer
trying.
moms from DMT trials. And yeah, that's what you guys are trying to do.
That's it.
That's the forte of the occult rejects right there, baby. Fucking deny none. And that's the way of Jesus too, as long as we're,
If these giants sold people dreams, I'd say Tony Robbins is a descendant.
Dude, that man has bananas for fingers.
I've never noticed. I don't know. I can't get that.
He's a Nephilim, dude. He's huge.
So like they were specifically giants, huh? Like, but in the dream world, I wonder if there's a connection there, man. Like that's the giants thing is always throwing me for a loop, dude. And I'm always struggling with it because I mean, well, first of all, I know something happened. I mean, it's too prevalent. But all the argument, I side with that they're literal. But
Joey,
it's always
Joey,
both.
think about this. Think about this. Ice Age megafauna bipeds.
Same, right. If there was giant sloths, why wouldn't there be giant people? More
Right.
oxygen. Right. Yeah, dude.
What happened to them? Why they're being covered up? I have no idea. But that seems logical to me. Just like a different branch of humans that got super freaking huge because all of the animals are super huge.
Right.
Like you
And
have
all-
to take these things down.
Yeah. All the big ones died off too. Not enough food.
Yep. All of the megafauna died off except for like the moose and maybe bison. I guess they would count too.
Man, so
But
why
you don't have
why cover it up? Like what I guess that leads directly to spirituality, and then spirituality leads directly to inner power, and they don't want, maybe that's just the ABC that they're trying to avoid. But man, they like whenever people try to cover up Bigfoot, like I get it, they're just trying to stay credible.
Right.
But in the case of giants, dude, I live right next to Cahokia, and they found 10 7-foot skeletons, which someone might be like, no, it's not giants, but I mean, it kind of is, especially considering I think the people of Cahokia, Mississippi tribes, they were short people. So a 7-foot person is quite the anomaly, you know? And
the entire Caribbean is lousy with giants.
lousy.
Like we had a lady on that talks about, what was that island, Nick? That she's
Aruba,
from?
Heather.
Aruba, yeah.
Arnold, I think.
Heather's talking about all of these giant skulls that they had in Aruba. They have all the records for all this stuff. And it was Curacao too. And so they had all of these different giant skeletons down there in the Aruba. But if you think about Mediterranean, always in the mythology, the giants are on islands.
Okay.
There's a strange link between islands and giants and water.
Yeah.
Even on the mound sites are right next to water. It's usually right at the bend of a river.
Yeah. And sometimes they're over aquifers and shit. Yeah.
Right.
And also the megalithic structures, that's another indication of giants too. And now I'll shed enough skepticism to say that that's almost in the bag for me when it comes to giants. Now you can show me like the very intricate workings of the Indian temples, the Hindu temples and stuff, and those things it's like impossible, right? Like they must have used some kind of technology to do that. But they're huge too. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about moving a block of stone. That's like 9,000 tons, right? That's not within the human range of technology at that point. I mean,
right.
Yeah. So, and then what do giants have in common besides their strength is that they brought technology to the humans. Well, not the giants, but their fathers, the fallen angels, are the ones who taught humans technology. So you get both in one bag when it comes to Nephilim. It's almost like if we take some of the allegory literature literally, it answers so many questions that it starts to get weird, you know?
Well, one of the things that stands out to me is all of these giants are almost incapable of guile. They have no ability to lie, which is very strange.
So like a divine aspect.
Anybody can lie to them, but they can't actually lie back. So they have to believe what you're telling them. This is one of the things about how Odysseus killed the giant is he said his name was Nemo, right? And so this giant is yelling out, "Nemo, stab me in the eye," which means nobody in Greek. And so all of his brothers hear him yelling, "Nobody stabbed me, nobody stabbed me." And they don't come to help him out because they're not thinking, right?
Yeah. I wonder if the aspect of not being able to lie is a reflection of coming directly from original source, like the original sine wave that doesn't have a deviation, like, you know, like light or a laser beam, for example, is a direct source of thing. You can't hang a code on it. You can't attach anything to it. It's got no deviation. And I wonder if that, if you put that archetype into physical reality, that being like a golem or whatever wouldn't be able to lie because its consciousness is still a true reflection of that unity consciousness, you know, whereas we're kind of stuck, we're developed in the flesh now in a world of duality with all these preferences and shit like that.
I would say that a giant with, you know, massive amounts of powers and inability to lie, that sounds like a servant class to me. You know, that sounds like something that is perfect to order around and make do stuff, you know?
Right.
And then it gets out of control when he starts to eat people.
Right.
But there's sort of like this interplay going on between, it seems like it could be some sort of a eugenics project.
Oh, that's interesting. And there have been a lot of species of humans that come and gone over the course, you know? And it's almost like they kept doing it till they got it right, you know? They were all very animalistic. All of these other human beings, they were all, when you look at the skull and the length of the arms, they were really animalistic. It's almost as if somebody was like trying to get it right through a process of trial and error, which is about the scariest thing I can think of. But eventually they got one, and we have like thin skin and like fragile bones compared to the ones that we beat out. How does that work?
Well, I think there's some kind of a hominid carcinization. You ever heard of carcinization?
Mm-mm.
They have all these species of arthropods in the ocean that all sort of evolve into becoming like crabs. So like the form of crab is like called carcinization. So all these different species always take on this form. So what if there's a hominid carcinization, kind of like in Star Trek? You know, it doesn't matter what planet they go to.
Yeah.
The aliens there look like humans with little makeup on.
Yeah. Like everything on Earth eventually becomes a crab because that's what survives best here. But like in the Gnostic tradition, in the esoteric tradition at large, actually, they talk about the Adam Cadmus. So before there was Adamus or Adam as a man on Earth, as a first human or whatever, there was a prototype of him in the causal realm, in the subtle realms, and that was called the Adam Cadmus. And if you look at that through an astrotheologic standpoint, like popularized by like Rudolf Steiner or Manly P. Hall, they talk about Adam Cadmus is literally our solar system, like our sun system and the outer planets as archons. And there's a way to understand it that is like we can't see 4D and 5D spatial dimensions without DMT. But just like an ant or a piece of bacteria could be on something round and it still lives in a flat 2D reality. It can't imagine 3 dimensions. If we can't imagine or see the Adam Cadmus, we would see the 3D rendition of it, which is spheres, you know? So I believe that despite the Earth having a, I forgot the word, was it that makes crabs?
Carcinization.
Carcinization, right. The Earth has its own, every planet would have its own, but as a whole, as a total fractal, the solar system has its own, and that's the human form, like the Da Vinci man. And then that would indicate that the galaxy also has its own carcinization as well, which I think would be outside of our understanding, removed by twice removed.
Nebulas. Nebulas.
Yeah. Right. And then you have nebula. It keeps going.
Right.
You get the crab at the keystone too, on top of the pillars.
The keystone.
That's where all that symbolism comes through.
Yeah, you get the. That's interesting.
Well, the day I found out that the buck doesn't stop at galaxies, and there's like, I forgot what the Laniakea arm or whatever. So like, even our galaxy is like a speck of dust within this much bigger tentacle that's coming off of a fucking much bigger thing. I'm like, dude, we keep zooming out and I've got anxiety. Quit it. Like,
you know who gave us the idea of all the galaxies out there besides ours and everything? Giordano Bruno.
Bruno.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm so pivotal. That's why I know that.
If I ever got a chance to hang out with Neil deGrasse Tyson, my first question I'd be like, dude, answer honestly. If you were a scientist living at the same time as Bruno, and he said, I think those dots are not holes, I think that they're stars, would you debunk him? Because I'm not talking about Galileo, where Galileo could clearly show his work and be like, look what the shadows do. Look what these orbiting ones do. We go around the sun. And then you can show him that with evidence, say Neil deGrasse Tyson, ancient Neil deGrasse Tyson, look at my evidence. I think we go around the sun. I think Tyson's smart enough. He'd be like, okay, I agree. But with Bruno's this archetypal bong rip fucking hippie dude laying on a roof doing hash, having these downloads, esoteric downloads, and saying, dude, I think those dots are suns. Dude, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson would have fucking lit the match that lit that motherfucker on fire if he was being honest.
Yeah. But here's the thing. He's the only mystic any of these scientists look up to. It's almost like they have a complete ignorance of Giordano Bruno because he's a mystic dude, you know? He's hardly in the realm
Right.
of science, and they all just look up to him as some sort of god, you know?
Yeah. It's the same thing with Carl Jung. He was a lot more studied once upon a time before the Red Book came out, because after he had the Red Book withheld in a vault in his family's thing. Red Book only came out like 1997, dude. That's just new. But whenever the Red Book leaked, or he gave him permission with a date or something, I don't know. He's very cryptic. A lot of high schools and colleges stopped teaching Jung because, oh my God, he's a mystic. We can't have that, But
Right.
they cherry pick, dude. The guy that Neil deGrasse Tyson absolutely worships, the main OG scientist. Sorry if I didn't mean to curse.
Oh, it's quite all right. All this shit.
We
All
were
right.
cursing the whole time.
That was the first one I caught. Damn.
It's all good.
I thought this was a kid's show. I didn't know. The Alchemist, dude. Someone in the chat is screaming at me right now. No. He was a virgin. He worshipped Jesus Christ, and that's why he was a virgin. He was an alchemist and a mystic. Newton. He proved that sunlight is gay, and which was a huge breakthrough for all of us. But yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson will go on fangirl rants about Newton and not mention one of those things. Oh, the BBKD. Oh, look at him go.
I made the mistake of stretching him. Like he can't live without it now. He's got to have it. You've got to pick him up by his paws and stretch him.
Dude, you got a good one then.
Yeah.
One of my cats will lay in my arms like upside down, and he likes to look at the world upside down. Like, and he's cool with all that. Like, he gets a kick out of it. Whereas his brother Paul is gangster. He has no sense of humor. If you touch his belly, you get clawed.
It's like pigs. You let pigs outside, and within like a couple of months, they turn into boars.
Is that so?
Yeah, that's the same pig. They just live in captivity, so they don't need all that stuff. Cats are the same way. Once you let them outside, they turn feral,
I wonder if there's a change in the DNA there, or if it's like a
adaptation,
right? This is what whenever modern science, materialist science, they say things that disprove God. What they're doing is listing things that God does, and they're giving it a name. And now that it's got a name, it's not God anymore. Like, I've always felt this way about, they say mitochondria. They say these words, photosynthesis, right? I've never been able to actually see what's happening. Like, whenever a cell splits into two cells of equal size, the cell doesn't get bigger. It splits. And then it splits again into four. Eventually, it splits so many times that some of them decide to become bone. Some of them decide to become brain. Who's deciding that? The cell? So there's an underlying... Yeah, someone's deciding these things.
Well, the frequencies, when you cut off the animal from the frequencies of the mother, it doesn't form correctly. Right? So you don't get life unless those frequencies are being transmitted from mother to baby or whatever. They have to have some sort of time around each other, or else I guess it's the timing is completely off, because everything having to do with cell death and rebirth and splitting all has to do with the timing. We just don't realize that.
Yeah. Like cicadas doing math, dude. There's a timing there.
Right.
Who taught them that? You have a good way of getting me off on tangents, dude, because whenever something is disconnected from the mother, it becomes a psychopath. Do you think that's what happened to us as humanity? Because it's no secret that we killed the female god, dude. We replaced the archetypal ancient female mother god and replaced it with a male, with a man. And we call it he. Like,
well, I think that's a that's an interesting point. But looking back at the older generations having to do with Inanna and Ishtar, like you still see a lot of the same cycle, but she was basically the goddess of those cities, And in a lot of ways, we've kind of preserved that. If you're thinking about the Statue of Liberty or Columbia, we still have, but I mean, we don't pay attention to them nearly as much, but they're usually tied to places, like Diana of Ephesus and all the rest of these things. They kind of have this goddess-like energy, and a lot of cities preserve that tradition.
Each one has its own like residence,
Right. Goddess in residence.
Right. It's like everybody still craves that mother figure, but as an overarching creator god, the divine feminine, it's like we forgot Sophia, because what is Sophia if she's not the mother of God? I mean, and then if you go above her, of course, you have the monad, which can't be bothered with a gender. The monad can't even experience itself. It can't experience, period. So it needs Sophia to have experiences, right? So I wonder if plasma is the female element of divinity, and matter, which is the anomaly in the universe, is the male, and that's your Sophia and your Demiurgos. If you do the math like that, which can be argued, sure, that makes God a woman. And when it comes down to logic,
Nick, what's Newt's consort? I forgot his name. Do you remember?
Newton's consort.
No, Nuit, the Egyptian goddess.
Okay.
Consort. Fuck.
Yeah, what was his name? It's like a tiny dot.
See, I did not know this.
No, well, no, that's with the Book of the Law.
That's right, isn't it? Hadith?
Was it Amen?
Well, I think it goes back to the same thing that Hadith is called by other people, and I can't think. It's that winged disc. You talk about that little thing?
Yeah.
I can't think of the fucking name. I know what you're getting at, though.
So they have their own.
That's
Sophia
the idea.
and
That's matter, and
Yeah.
she's energy.
Dude, I think there's something to this. And I think it's plasma physics. Like, I hate to throw everything under an umbrella, but all these gods are called like El something or Ma something, Mary, Magdalene, Elohim, electromagnetic energy. I think that science and religion, I'm cliche just saying this, but not only were one thing once upon a time, but are intrinsically exactly the same thing under different names. And we are also compartmentalized.
Geb, god of the earth.
What, Gabriel? What is it?
Geb.
It's Geb.
Geb.
G-E-B.
Geb.
God of the earth.
So
it's the perfect example.
Yeah.
She's the night sky and he's the earth.
Nuit and Geb. I want to make a chart. Dude, we should get together, all our minds together, and make a chart, dude, where it's got the gods' names. No. How would this go? Okay, so it's got the civilizations down the x-axis, right? Egyptian, Mesopotamian, whatever. And then across the top, you've got like a force of nature, matter, plasma, fire, and then put in the chart the names. That would illustrate so beautifully that all it is, we have different names for the same things.
Right.
I wonder if that would pan out, dude, because then it'd be like a multiplication table of courseness. Like, of course, it's all the same story. It's like Joseph Campbell has been telling us the whole time.
You might have made a map.
Yeah. Dude.
Where does that go?
We can make it look cool too.
Right.
Like look at like right there, like the Mandelas, like not make it like, but
well, you don't know what it's going to look like yet. You might actually get a symbol out of it.
Yeah. All right. New rabbit hole unlocked. This is good.
These could be sigils.
Yeah. Underneath it, we could write The names have changed, but the story stays the same. You
Right.
know, wouldn't fit on a t-shirt, but it would make a great
Yeah.
poster, dude. I'll go halvesies on it with you guys, dude.
I'll see
Oh,
what I
man.
can come up with.
Yeah, we'll compare notes on that. That's pretty good. I like it. Some kind of like all encompassing mythological thing. I'm almost tempted to have to put modern things into it, you know, about DMT and science and whatnot, because if you kept that timeline going, it would easily move into you know, this DMT subject and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah. All right.
Well, if you look at the ancients' obsession with attributes, right? So this is attributed to that, right? It almost creates a clearer picture of what you're trying to achieve with that sort of DMT state or whatever. Like you've got to list all of these different attributes of the god as you're going into the Kaikion state to sort of arrive at your destination.
What is the Kaikion state?
Well, that's whatever they were using in the wine. I'm not sure if they have the
Okay.
formula for it, but it's
Okay.
like this
Like a soma.
hallucinogenic mixture. Yeah.
Yeah. The hallucinogens is one of the biggest ignored aspect of the ancient world, dude.
Right.
That dude who wrote the Immortality Key, where he was like the first guy to be like, dude, I think the mysteries of Eleusis, they were tripping their balls off, you know, and that was like a big scholarly deal. Everybody was like, whoa, like, but then he presented his evidence and it was like, damn, of course, dude. And it was for everybody. And then the soma, it leaked and people were giving out the recipe to the soma, which we still don't have a clear picture of today, but it involved wine, psilocybin mushrooms, ergot. Like it was a whole damn concoction of all that shit. And I wonder if the philosopher's stone of alchemy might be DMT. I know that's a stretch, but they're always talking about the acacia sprig, dude.
Right.
What if? And that would be a
I could see
closely
that.
guarded secret too. Let me know in your alchemy studies if anything ever comes up on that. Maybe we'll do a collab on it.
Right. After I get the homunculus brewing, that'll be my next project.
What is that? What's the homunculus?
Really? Holy shit.
It's an artificial human that you make in a flask.
Oh, like a Moloch or whatever.
Yeah, what was another name for that?
Isn't that like what they're doing with
Like a tulpa.
like making brains in a petri dish or something, or is it purely etherical?
There's so many different things that surround it. Honestly, that's my. It's a couple of different ideas, but like, yeah, you were saying. I think Headless. Explain yours, and I can go on a little bit about mine if you want.
It's kind of a combination of spirit and matter energy, right? And so what you're doing is you're taking your own seed and you're combining some other stuff with it, and then you're burying it in cow dung for like 3 or 4 months, and then a little man is going to start to appear and grow into size, and you could talk with him. And what they were often used for is to guard the body as the alchemist was doing out of body experiences.
Wow.
So, yeah.
How this has never occurred to me. I'm looking at all Jungian stuff when it comes to alchemy. Like
he
that
talks
is
about the
brand new.
homunculus, I think, in the Red book. It's deep in there.
So let me ask you this. If you have to put your seed underneath the cow dung, can't you just make a shortcut and just, leave your seed inside the cow? And then whenever he goes to make the dung, it comes out with it?
The dung keeps it at a nice toasty temperature, and it stays constant, right? So they use cow dung a lot for a lot of different preparations because
it makes mushrooms,
like right around 85 degrees, right? So what you want to keep it that constant temperature, but it's inside a flask, right? So you've got all your ingredients inside a glass container, and then the little man starts to grow inside the glass container, which is bizarre.
It's wild, bro. Damn. No, I love it.
Those shrooms are made.
Alchemy goes ham, dude. From the diagrams to the methods, there's like just no leash on these guys, dude. I love that. And it makes me curious about those mushrooms that would grow from that cow dung.
Right.
The dung is to bring frequency of the butthole in.
Like, is that so?
Yeah, I've never artificially inseminated a cow before, but I have inseminated a cow.
What? The
I'll
old
be right
fashioned way.
That's that.
Oh!
All right, edit that out.
All right. I mean, you guys are visiting Arkansas soon. Maybe you can get a.
Fucking no, I am the only one going. So nobody can even repeat what I do, you know?
Oh fuck,
Okay.
dude! Where do we go from here? Holy shit!
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That,
I want to. You ever been tripping on mushrooms and then blast off on DMT? You ever?
no,
You
I never
ever
did
have that?
DMT. I've done mushrooms. I've done LSD. I've done mescaline. That's it.
It'll the mushrooms will act as an MAOI inhibitor, as a shorthand inhibitor, because it does the same thing as the Syrian rue does in your gut. The mushrooms do. It's not as effective, but it is effective. So instead of like an 8-minute, 10-minute flash trip, you get like a 25, 30-minute. Like the flash itself, the actual DMT flash where you're like on a different station, radio station,
Yeah.
is like 15, 20 minutes, dude. And then the whole trip itself is like 30 minutes. Dude, this one in particular.
Not that fucking 8 hours shit.
Dude, that's why I say I don't do LSD is too much. Mushrooms is all right, but like, so this one in particular, I actually had to cut out and tape these different attributes of the trip report just to fit it all in. But this was one DMT trip. So I took a little bit of mushrooms and I took a little bit of Syrian rue and made a tea out of that. So you got the double MAOI inhibitor thing going on there. And then instead of taking like 3 huge blasts of DMT, like it would be typical, I loaded up enough for like 5 hits. And then I would take them one at a time. And then around the third one, I was kind of enjoying myself with it. It hit, and I knew I was in it to where there was no more functioning. My body went completely docile. There was no activity. And I was talking to this guy named Doc. And I named him Doc because that was the noise he was making.
Oh.
I wish I could show you this. There's no way you'd be able to see it. Actually, fuck it. I'm gonna show you this, dude. So you know the artist who does the album covers for Infant Annihilator?
No.
I had him paint Doc. You can see him here. So that's, oh my God, that's me. And that's the picture I was trying to show you that I drew. And that's Doc right there. And he would make all these strange honk noises and whatnot. And at a certain point, we were thinking the same things at the same time. And it was like this weird moment of like, am I thinking or are you thinking? And he was like, exactly. And I was like, so tell me about yourself. And he said that he was a physical being just like I am, but he lives so far out on the edge of the galaxy, of our familiar galaxy, that his flesh isn't quite tangible anymore. Like he had lost locality or something like that, and that he was in death process. And I was like, I'm sorry to hear that. And he was like, no, it's a beautiful thing because I've got a whole plan. And we kind of danced. And so at a certain point, he was like, so, okay, these words don't work, but he was like, my grotesque form does not bother you. And I was like, it used to, but now we're friends. And he ripped open the blackness of void, and it was white. And then it's like he unzipped reality, and I got sucked into that. And it was a realm of complete white where I met these guys. And this is the same trip. And there's like, kind of looks like a bunch of rectangles and squares, like glass doors opening and closing. That's what these beings were. They were like glass, transparent mathematical doors. And they started talking to me, but I couldn't understand any of it. It was like a dial-up signal. It was just so bizarre. And they were like, I was like, can you put this in a way that I can understand it? And then they like shoved me into this place right here, which is like a torus. And this is the center of the torus that kind of looks like a tree trunk. But this again was like super grotesque, and it was like really fleshy and strange, and that kind of scared the boogers out of me a little bit. After that, I kind of came out of it. But when I came out of it, dude, it had been like 30 minutes that I was running around. But a background on that character, on that Doc guy, was the reason. Okay, this was like my third DMT trip ever. This gremlin woman. And she was in a big skyscraper full of cubes, and she was trapped inside of one of these glass cubes. And she was pink, and she was very grotesque, very sticky and gross. And whenever I broke through, I immediately was like, I'm not here to see you. I'm supposed to have an angelic host. Something beautiful is supposed to happen. I don't know why I got you. And I was rude. And she sent me on this nightmare storm of just like information so fast, like, okay, bitch, you want to be picky and choosy, take this. And I was overwhelmed in that. So as soon as I came back, I was like, okay, the lesson learned, right? So I got Doc later. He was also grotesque, but ever since then, after recognizing that, I haven't had that experience anymore, which is really anomalous with any hallucinogen, because you'd have repeat experiences or whatnot. But let me give you a weird one here. This one I drew.
This goes right into what we were talking about, how your perception of them changes the outcome of the event.
100%. And for some, like, I had to learn it the hard way because I hadn't really done all the research and stuff at that certain point, you know. I did pharmacopoeia, which is basically DMT, Syrian rue, and mushroom juice, that blue shit that you get. And instead of smoking the DMT after the MAOI inhibitors, you drink all of it all at once. So it's like an ayahuasca experience, but the lemon juice and the mushroom psilocybin makes it come on really quick, and it's very quickly acting. So you're tripping until you drink red wine to flush it out. But I got this whole thing going on where they showed me the torus field, or the magnetic field of a human person, with the spiral, saying this is where information comes in, and there's a torus around it. When I was looking at it, I couldn't help but think of angel wings and halos. And I came out of that wondering if our modern depiction of angels with the wings and halos is a watered down game of telephone of this objective energy field around all beings, a 2D representation of a torus field. This one's just abstract. Can you guys even see these at all, or like?
Oh, let me.
Oh yeah, I can. Once Headless started doing that, yeah, you definitely can now. At least I can.
This one was there was no message involved. It was just super deeply abstract. It was 5 spatial dimensions. I tried to draw 5 spatial dimensions, but I couldn't. But there's different backgrounds at the same time as the one background, and there's all these like fleshy electrical limbs with a bunch of elbows and knees in them, and they're wiggling around like electricity, like a tube or something. What was going on there? And it just made splashing noises at me. I could go on, man. You'll have to stop me, but all right, this one.
Well, we're right at about 2 hours.
All right, we might call it here. But
yeah.
One of these pictures, he's built for 5 spatial dimensions. It's impossible to draw it, but like we have hands that can reach around in 3 spatial dimensions. This is my best interpretation that I could about this creature that he could reach around in 5 spatial dimensions specifically. And when I say specifically 5 spatial dimensions, I'm not using that as a metaphor. When you break through on, people always talk about it's more real than real, and they're seeing colors and shapes that are impossible. If they stop and do the math and like look at the research that mathematicians have done on 5D all the way up to 11D, whatever it is, they're looking at 5 spatial dimensions, not to be confused with time as the 4th. Very weird. Something I don't think the brain could dream up.
All right.
Certainly is like a download. Lots of
yeah, that's what it sounds like, in my opinion.
I'm gonna give you one more.
Okay.
This one had a huge effect on me. This is like what you're looking at here is like this cloud of sentience, like a library of souls. And I was here. Let me see if I can. So that was me. And I was in the DMT realm before I saw this guy. But while I was here, I had this thought. This shape occurred to me. And when this shape occurred to me, I thought to myself immediately, that is perfect for Michael McGee, my old buddy Mike. That shape is perfect for him. I'll have to let him know about it. And then I thought to myself, oh, wait a second. Why is that shape perfect for Mike? That doesn't make any sense. That's abstract. When this guy revealed, he was laughing his ass off at me, talking about, he's this giant cloud, skyscraper sized thing of souls floating over. He kind of pulled a tentacle out of my head and was like, I put that idea there, and it was really convincing, wasn't it? And I poured over that, for I still do to this day, that he had complete and utter control of my attention span and logic. So he could make me see some abstract shape, and then I would think, oh, that's perfect for Mike. And he would make it specific and real. And then like a screen memory, like that was a download. And then he'd pull himself out of me, and I was like, oh, like, why would I think that? It was almost like waking up in a lucid dream. But that same occurrence happens in shamanic traditions, abduction, where they can pry into your mind and cause you to focus on whatever it is they want you to focus. So if you go over there with an attitude like, bitch, move out the way, I'm ready to learn some esoteric shit, they can really deceive you. And it can be, and that's where like discernment is very important in the DMT realm, because creatures will tell you things that are very wrong, morally wrong, objectively wrong. They'll try to trick you. And I've had some of them even like, they freeze up and then turn to stone and then into ash, which isn't, I don't think, what's objectively happening. But I've said to some of them before, like, I don't believe you. And then they'll turn into something else or whatever. All of these things I used to take, when I would tell people about them, I would take the safe route and say, oh, it's interesting psychologically how these things are happening in my subconscious, right? I would use that buffer before telling these stories to say it's, you know, how amazing imagination, knowing better. After reading the neuroscience on what Gallimore has just put out, I'm pretty much done taking that safe road. And I'm here to say that those are things that I objectively saw, beings that are objectively real outside of me. And the only thing that is subjective about them is the form that I assigned to them in order to not lose my mind.
Right. But that implies a sort of timelessness, right, to their existence.
Yeah.
And so all of these things can happen retrocausality, and, you know, we would be none the wiser because that's not even a thing to us.
Right. Yeah. They seem to be able to like even implant memories and stuff. There's been times that I've come out of a DMT trip in a different house, in a different life. Like, it's my house and it's my life, but it's a different house, a different life. And then it'll be like 5 minutes later, everything starts to coagulate and I'm back in my, what I think is my normal home base life. It's like your memory centers are not only completely subject to them, but almost not even real in the first place. It's very weird.
Right. Well, this was great, dude.
This dude's getting flashbacks, he says.
Yeah, right. Well, thank
And
you.
that's what's crazy about it is compare my experiences. And I was doing this shit years ago. You know, I mean, we had the internet and everything, but comparing these experiences, mine, to other people's is like normal everyday people who I can actually talk to, not just in Rick Strassman's book, is mind blowing to me, because somebody will tell me an experience that is, I mean, down. It's like we watched the same movie, dude. How can that be? That doesn't happen with mushrooms, you know?
It certainly doesn't.
I want to invite you guys over on while you're out there traveling. Stop by St. Louis. Let's get your feet wet.
That's where you're at. All right.
Yeah, I'm in St. Louis. I got spare space, dude. We'll have a podcast right here. We'll fucking.
I'll fucking come out there, dude.
Come on out.
You're gonna be close, Arkansas.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, right? So I am 3 hours from Arkansas.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Not bad. One thing before we do start to wrap it up, I just want to mention, because I saw so many people in the chat, and I think we talked about him here. Third time's the charm. This is my third time. The first 2 times he did answer me himself and put me down at least and say, no, I can't make it because I'm busy. But I did email while we were on the show, because I didn't want to forget, Rupert Sheldrake for the third time. So I would like to try to get him on. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
He also sent me a rejection letter, and it was the most polite.
Oh yeah, it's so nice, right?
Read in my life, dude. Like opposite of fucking Andrew Collins, bitch ass, that fucking asshole.
Sheldrake will make you feel okay about him telling you no, at least, you know.
Dude,
don't feel like a dick. Yeah, because like I think like normally like what is it goes to somebody, and then they're like, all right, I'll forward it to him, and then he'll answer you, and it's actually like all nice and shit.
Who's that?
Whenever I email him, it's like somebody answers and they're like, all right, I'm gonna forward this to Rupert to see, you know, blah blah blah, and then Rupert, he answers, and it's like, you know,
he sent back a paragraph talking about he's like, I'm extremely busy right now, but I'll have you on the list. I was like, this dude is a gentleman. Fucking Andrew Collins. I wanted to invite him on the show because I've read like 7 of his books. I've got like 10 of his books, right? But what I do, I don't email these people from Library of the Untold first. I always send them fan mail first. And so I sent a picture of Andrew Collins, a stack of his own books. And I was like, damn, bro, I've read quite a few of your books, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he sent back 2 words, no caps, no punctuation. He wrote, loads missing. And I was like, oh boy, okay. I guess I've got some catching up to do. Yeah, it was a bitch, dude. He was an asshole. And
serious.
It was like, I think about 48 hours later or whatever, he sent me back an email, or not an email, but like a message back. And he was like, oh yeah, hey, blah, blah, blah. I noticed that you have guests on your show. I was like, no. If you treat your fans like shit, I found you. Don't come on my show. But I'll have Sheldrake on. That motherfucker is awesome. Like whenever I sent some fan mail, he was like, thank you and prestigious. And I was like, dude, it's my guy. Chris Dunn was the same way, dude. But
that's wild though.
I know. Dude, I have to air that out sometimes because it does.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be all stoic and no, I'm petty as fuck, dude. That shit bugs me.
Yo, Jordan Maxwell, when he was still alive, he told me $500 to come on the show. I was like,
no shit. I was like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, right. I'm like, this isn't 20 years ago. You're kind of washed up.
Yeah. Fuck.
But yo, real quick before I wrap it up, Headless, please remind everybody about all your shows and everything, and that Thursday show you got going.
All right. If you have any weird occult experiences involving any of the stuff mentioned here tonight, you can send me an email at theheadlessgiantpodcast@gmail.com, and we will get that right up on that show on Thursday nights. And also Sunday mornings, we've got the trilogues with Ethan, Indigo, and Ricardo. And on Monday. Now it's going to be Alchemy Monday. So I'm going to get out the equipment. We're going to make some videos and we're going to start cooking some herbs. So it's going to be awesome.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Yeah. So then
can't wait for
eventually, by this time next month, we should hopefully be starting. We'll probably be stuck in the first few 10 pages of 777. But
See, this is so cool because you're actually doing the fucking great work. Like you're actually getting your hands dirty and like experimenting and putting two.
Yeah, it took me long enough to be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it.
That's what's up, dude. That's badass.
It took me 4 years to finally get the balls. So whatever.
Be careful.
Right.
Yeah, well, no, I know. That's why I wanted people to be educated on a lot more stuff before I even start taking it.
All right.
Yeah. That's another reason, honestly, why I put out a lot of those solo things on those older people. Look at what they were doing before you look at what they were really looking at. Before you start getting into this shit. I think that's a little more important.
Right.
But Joey, real quick, let everybody know what's up with you.
I have Library of the Untold on YouTube, of course. However, if you would like to dive deeper into everything Library of the Untold, there is libraryoftheuntold.com, where I'm very proud to say, because everybody in the comments has always been like, have you done a video on this? Have you done a video on that? Or where can I find this episode? I saw it a long time ago, blah, blah. I got so many of those, dude. So libraryoftheuntold.com at the very top is a list of all of my full-length episodes in order. So you can go there and browse or can see what you missed, all that stuff.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Joey. And please, everybody go check out his stuff if you have not already. I would even suggest to go back to other Occult Reject shows. Again, like he said, he has brought topics on here before he has covered them, and I have had him on for topics after he's covered them and other people's point of view added to the show. So definitely check that out. And again, Joe, I always appreciate you coming on, man. You're part of the crew with me, so you're always welcome here, my man. And again, thank you for the chat. There's amazing stuff in there, a lot of great stuff being said. I'm assuming some of these people might even have been some of your fans because they look new to me, but a lot of great stuff in there, and I appreciate the love and everybody showing up. There's a lot of people beginning to the end, and that's what's up. If they're staying, it must be a good show. And we got Beans there showing up real quick before the end. So, you heard me talking about him. All right, so that's the end of another Occult Rejects. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.